Hey guys, this is Lala Legacy and welcome back to another episode of SeaBed. So, let's jump right back in. You know, our classical Japanese teacher is terrible. I keep raising my hand, but he never asks me anything. Earlier today, I tried raising my hand to answer a question that no one in class had any clue about, and he still ignored me. Why do you think that is? Maybe he hates you because you keep skipping class, and your voice is always too loud. I can't help my voice, but I guess I was right. Damn! And then the math teacher only ever asks me something when I don't know the answer. Besides, you're terrible at classical Japanese. He probably doesn't let you speak because he doesn't want you to embarrass yourself. I'll get great marks on the next test and show him. Good luck. Sachi, can you teach me after school? I can, but what about your club? The boys' basketball and volleyball teams are using the gym today, so I don't have practice. I'll do some running tonight, but that's about it. I see. I turned a page. The sound of fervent scribbling resumed. I'm done! She placed the pencil on the stairs and held out her sketchbook in front of me. A four-leaf clover extended across the entire page, each of its leaves appearing to be a bit different. But some of the leaves were drawn with wavy lines, while others looked jagged. Both versions looked quite pleasing to the eye, despite them being drawn with relatively few lines. Exactly what kind of profession are you aiming for? Well, her big eyes grew round as she let out a thoughtful grunting sound. I like drawing and creating things, so something along those lines. That's not very specific. It's the bell, let's go! Oh wait, whoops, it's the bell, let's go. As I stood up and brushed the dust off my skirt, Takako rolled along the ground and stopped behind me. What are you doing? Whoops. Oh, I don't know who that was. Never mind. I think that was Sachi. After school, upon turning the corner, I saw Takako on all fours. What are you doing? Oh! Takako turned her head over her shoulder and waved at me. I was looking for the four-leaf clover. Do you come here during every break? My classes are over. I came here to read a book for a while before going home. I sat down on the stairs, opened the book, and took out the bookmark. Here it is! As soon as she found it, she unzipped her bag she had left in the shadow of the stairs and took out her equipment. She entered the building holding a yellow bucket, filled it up with water, and then came back out. Alrighty! She sat down next to me. She struck her brush into the water. Or stuck her brush, sorry. Green and yellow. She squeezed the paint tubes, covering her palette in colors. I feel like it's not colorful enough. I turned the page. Just use some other colors then. I see! I turned a page. I heard the sound of a brush gliding against the canvas. The damp, gloomy backyard regained its usual silence. The only things I could hear were the sound of turning at pages as I read, and the cries of the cicadas in the distance. I'm done! What do you think? She placed the brush on the stairs and held out the sketchbook in front of me. That's one colorful clover. I'm avant-garde. Does it have any meaning? Well, she stuck her head out and considered the canvas herself. She then pointed at the blue leaf. This blue leaf represents a sprout. It's the youngest of the four. The yellow is a young leaf that's yet to fully form. The green one, well, as you can no doubt tell yourself, it's just a normal leaf in its prime. And lastly, the red one is the leaf at the very end of its life. She pointed at the green and red leaves in order. I'm impressed you managed to come up with that on the spot. I passed the qualification examination for colors the other day. You can make any color you want by mixing the four I used for the leaves. Takako's palette was a difficult to describe mess of a whole array of colors mixed together, like she couldn't decide which one to pick right until the very end. Ah, so that's where the logo comes from, huh? At the end of the second floor corridor, there was a cylinder-shaped lounge with a small table, 2 chairs, and a bookshelf in it. A set of large windows lined the wall, welcoming the serene afternoon light. I spotted Sachiko sleeping at the table, using her elbows as a pillow. I silently pulled out the other chair, careful not to wake her. The chair creaked as I lowered myself in it, but it didn't seem to disturb her. Sachiko's shoulders rhythmically moved up and down, but other than that, she remained motionless. Her thin and glossy hair, succumbing to the pull of gravity, covered her face. It swayed ever so slightly in the soft breeze, glimmering in the afternoon light. I realized the collar of my coat got crooked as I sat down. Remembering that I had a doll in my pocket, I took it out and placed it on the table. It had been preserved well given its age. I tried brushing off a dirty spot on its cheek with a finger, but it didn't work. Suddenly, I heard some footsteps from behind. Looking up, I saw Nanai's aunt at the other end of the corridor. She seemed to have noticed me as well and made a light bow. Hello. She came over to my chair, carrying a basket full of laundry. Hello. The weather is certainly nice today. Neither too cold nor too hot. A perfect day for an afternoon nap if there ever was one. How about joining us? An enticing proposal, but I must refuse. If Nana found us, I wouldn't hear the end of it. That's too bad. Lily made a warm smile, then shifted her gaze to the doll on the table. Is this yours? Yeah. It looks quite old. Switching the laundry basket to her other hand, Lily considered the doll with curious eyes. I held it up in front of her. She took it with her one free hand. Is it handmade? Spots of dirt aside, it appears quite well crafted. I've had it since my childhood. You could say that it's somewhat special to me. Ah, so it's something important to you. Lily inspected the doll for any other patches of dirt and tear marks. Tear. I don't know why I keep saying tear, it's tear marks. I could fix it up for you if you want. Really? Of course. It's not like our own antiques receive no refurbishing. We have a contract with the company that specializes in these things, and I myself can handle some of the simpler items. Lily answered me with a smile. Fixing your doll is not that difficult compared to what I usually do anyway. In that case, I definitely appreciate it. All right. Lily placed the doll in her laundry basket. She then pulled a sheet from it. Use this if you're planning to sleep. Thank you. It was hanging in the sun just a few minutes ago, so it should feel quite pleasant. I might end up being unable to sleep at night because of it, though. Lily chuckled. That wouldn't be good. Sleep is the best medicine, or however the saying goes. She nodded to herself a few times. I imagine a mansion like this must have a ghost story or two. Absolutely. Do you like those kinds of stories? I'm quite a fan. In that case, I can tell you one if you want. Sounds great. Aw, she looks so cute. Lily nodded, placed the basket on the floor, and lowered herself to the empty chair. It's about a woman that used to live here quite some while ago. She was different from most people. You could say she had an unusually sharp intuition. For example, look at the scar. I got it when I was hit by a bike. Lily rolled up her sleeve and showed her elbow to me. I could make out a scar that must have needed needed at least 6 stitches. It was quite an old wound. I doubt I would have even noticed the scar if she had not pointed it out. I spoke to that woman on the phone the day before, and she told me to be careful of bikes. She would always warn you about things out of nowhere, but her premonitions almost always turned out to be true. Why did you get hurt then? Lily smiled. I wasn't planning to go out that day, but I was bored and napped through half the day, and by the time I awoke, I had already forgotten about the warning. I figured it was a perfect time to take out the trash, and as soon as I stepped outside, I was hit by a bike. She leaned to the left, pantomiming how she got hit. So that person could predict the future. I'm not sure. In my experience, there were only 2 occasions where she predicted something with such accuracy, so I probably wouldn't go so far as to say she could read the future. On the other hand, there were several cases that made me think she had unbelievably good instincts. It felt more like she was sensitive to the supernatural. One time while working here, I figured I'd skip out on cleaning duty and was sleeping in the storage room when I woke up with some really bad sleep paralysis. I couldn't move at all and was half panicking when I suddenly heard someone's footsteps outside, along with the voices of 2 people. However, my mouth wouldn't move, so I couldn't call for help either. As I was praying for someone to notice me, I heard one of the 2 draw closer to the storage room, opening its door. It was her again. I pleaded for help with my gaze when she saw me. But when she saw me, all she did was snort, as if making fun of me. Lily recounted the story with a smile on her own face. Then she closed the door and left. The sleep paralysis subsided on its own later, but I remember looking all over the place to find and give her a piece of my mind. I was furious she didn't rescue me. Lily raised her fists in an expression of rightful anger, but soon lowered it and smiled. At any rate, I thought she had special powers. How about you? Do you believe in such things? I've had no first-hand experience with stuff like that, so I don't have much to say. I see, Lily continued in a slightly hushed tone. A lot of hotels and inns started popping up after the war, for tourists and such. However, most of them went bankrupt as soon as the real estate bubble burst, and with no funds to even raise the buildings, they ended up abandoned. It had been said since olden times that this area maintained strong ties with the supernatural, with the convenient ghost mansion around the stories pertaining to all the things that might live inside went completely out of control. There are dozens of such stories. I honestly can't even remember them all. Anyways, this woman in question could see those kinds of things, so she had it rough. And her senses grew even keener after that one particular incident. At first, she only said she could hear sounds at night. At that time, she was already working and lodging at the mansion. Anyway, she once said that she could hear water dripping from the tap despite sleeping in the wing farthest away from the kitchen. The tap here was pretty loose, so you had to close it really tightly. With that in mind, she climbed out of bed and went to the kitchen to see what was up. Still half asleep, she tried to wring the tap handle even harder, but it didn't help. Then she suddenly heard something near her ears that sounded vaguely like the laugh of a child. She swiftly spun around, but there was no one there. Figuring it was only her imagination, she returned to bed. But as soon as she began to doze off, she heard some voices again. This time it was a bunch of children laughing. She jumped out of bed, but once again there was no one there. Assuming it was just a bad dream she had after that unpleasant experience with the tap, she lay back on the bed, only for the sound of dripping water to start up again. She had a bad feeling about it, but still considering the possibility that her previous experience with the tap was no more than a dream. In the end, she got up and went to the kitchen again. As she closed the handle again, she heard the voice again. Oh, let's play some more. I didn't even get to read all that. This time it was clear as day. Let's play some more. Okay, however, she didn't turn around. Instead, she focused on something that she saw from the corner of her eyes. It was not behind, but below her. She slowly looked down to see a child staring at her. Okay, that was creepy. What the fuck? But dude, okay. Like, I don't know how often I've talked about this or if I've even talked about it at all on my channel, but I'm actually like a psychic medium myself. And I have had the gift of mediumship since I was born. So literally my earliest memory is of seeing spirits. And when I was in college, I had a client in Canada, and she had just moved into a house, like a brand new house for her anyways. It was an older house that was built like in the early 1900s, I think. And she was telling me like, yeah, some weird stuff has been happening. She didn't tell me exactly what was happening. So I was like, well, I get the feeling that you got locked in one of the rooms, but the room doesn't have a lock, right? And so she was like, yeah, I was locked into a room, like something closed the door on me, and I was the only one in the house with my dog, and my dog and I got locked in the room, and I was trying to pull the door open, but it wouldn't come open, and the door doesn't even lock or anything like that. And then I told her that I got the feeling that the previous owner, like a cat or a dog or some sort of animal of theirs, got locked in either the oven or the refrigerator. And she confirmed it, saying that their cats actually got locked in the fridge for no reason. Or for like, yeah, you know what I mean. And so I was trying to like connect more with the house, because her and I were on Skype or something on video chat. And so she was showing me around the house over video. And I was telling her that there's a little girl that resides in the house who died of tuberculosis. And the little girl's body is actually buried in the backyard. And she had not shown me like outside of the house because it was dark. So it's not like I would have been able to see it anyways. And so I was like, there's a hill in the backyard, and she's buried at like the very top of the hill, and that you'll know where she's buried because the ground looks different. I said it's either that the grass up there is dead, or there's some sort of wood over it to mark her or mark where she rests. And so like literally the very next day she went and looked herself, and she comes back and messages me. It's like, yeah, I found where she's buried, and it is exactly how you explained it. And also that night when she was showing me her house, she was talking about how she had like teddy bears or something, or a teddy bear that the little girl could play with. But as soon as she was like, yeah, it's upstairs. Or no, she didn't even say it was upstairs. No. She was saying like, yeah, I have a teddy bear and it's in one of the closets. And as soon as she said that, I saw a little boy like behind her, because she was laying on her couch, and I could see behind her toward the entrance of the house where the stairs were. And I saw a little boy like come in from the front door, and he goes right up the stairs. And as soon as I told her that that's what I saw, there was a loud slamming of a door upstairs. Like, she jumped up like 3 feet, and she's like, holy shit, what was that? And I said, I told you there was a little boy. And so she goes upstairs, and she's like, all the other doors are open except for the one. And she goes, oh my god, that's the room that the teddy bear is in. And so she goes in there, and she puts the laptop down to face the closet so that way I could see it. And she turns on the lights and whatnot, and she opens up the closet door, but she was having a hard time opening it. So it only opened like maybe an inch or two. And she was like, I've never had a problem opening up this door before. Like, it's never gotten stuck. And so she like tried to open it, and then because she couldn't, she just left it alone and turned her back to the closet to look at me, or to look at the computer. And she starts talking to me, And in the middle of her sentence, the fucking closet door just slams closed. And she jumps like 5 feet in the air and she's like, no, no, no. She's like, this is not happening. And then like we hear another slam down the hallway after I was like, well, the little boy just left the room. And so like shortly after I said that, there was another slamming of a door down the hallway. So she went to go look and she comes back and she's like, she was like, that was the door to the laundry room. And I was like, just tell the little boy to go back where he came from, because I don't know where he's from, and like he probably only came because he heard you talking about a teddy bear. And so she's like, well, I don't mind if he stays as long as he doesn't keep slamming doors like this. And then I told her about the original owners of the house, the people that actually built the house. It was a husband and a wife. And the husband, I think it was the husband first who died, and he died he died in the basement because I think it was asbestos or something, or some kind of chemical in the walls or in the paint or something like that. But because he was spending a long time down there, like every single day, because that was his workshop, he had died down there. And then the wife, later on, I think it was, she died because she ended up falling down the stairs and breaking her neck. And that the original owners were still there. And they were angry about the previous owners having renovated the house. So they were like really, really angry about it, which is why they locked the cats in the fridge and were like holding the doors closed. And then there was also this thing that I predicted that had been happening, was that there was late at night while she was trying to sleep, the doorbell would ring, but then she would go out and check and there's nobody there. And like it was in the winter too, so there was snow, and there were no footprints in the snow that said that there was somebody at her door. And then I also predicted that she had found a key on the day that she moved in, but she didn't know where it went to. And so I told her that there was a door, like a hidden door down in the basement that leads to a small room, and it's behind either like a couple of shelves or it was behind like piping. And so she actually went down and looked the next day, and she told me that she found the door, but she couldn't get it open like I told her she wouldn't be able to, because there were pipes against the wall covering over the door. But she took a peek into the keyhole and she saw a bunch of like old furniture and stuff, which is what I told her she would find. And she asked me why there was stuff like that in there, and I said, well, because around the time that these things were put in there, there was a slew of robberies, and the owners of the house didn't want their expensive things to get stolen. And so she went to the library to look that up, and it actually happened to be true. That is like one thing that I will never freaking forget that I did for a client, because even I was surprised that I was so accurate with everything. Because normally I'm like 98% accurate, so like sometimes I get things wrong like here and there. And especially with something like that long, I was surprised that I didn't get like one thing wrong, at least one thing wrong. But yeah, so this part of SeaBed made me think of that, so I had to share it. So now that I've shared it, I am all out of time for this episode, guys. So thank you so much for watching. And if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, by subscribing, you're becoming part of a legacy. I love you guys so, so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!